Hello folks, today is Friday, August 6th, 2022. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. And our air conditioning is broken, and there's a heat wave in New York, so let's get going, because this is going to get nasty. So the first bit of news this week is just some cool, fun video game stuff. The seemingly impossible Halo 2 challenge has been defeated or accomplished or whatever you want to say. So in case you guys didn't know, if you're not super online, Moist Critical issued a challenge offering a $20,000 bounty to whoever beat Halo 2 on Legendary with all skulls enabled without dying once. And it seemed like it was a pretty impossible feat, and someone did it. So I will link this in the description down below if you want to read up on it, but it was streamer Jervelin who did it over the course of 7 hours. And yes, it is incredibly impressive. The best thing about this, I think, really just shout out to Moist Critical for issuing this challenge. I feel like we need fun, creative, cool ways to still get excited about old games, and I think that was the perfect way to do it. How is Halo Infinite these days? Do you play that? No? Interesting. I just think it's kind of cool that people went back to the best Halo? Is Halo 2 the best Halo? I don't know. I don't know. That's spicy. Let's not get into that. Anyway, shout out to Jervelin for accomplishing this. Enjoy your hard-earned cash, because you definitely earned it. Also, again, just shout out to the person who issued this. Dude, more of these. I'd love to see more of this stuff, so go for it. Oh boy, the other big story this week is a Tomb Raider leak, believe it or not. Wow, this one is something. So a script apparently leaked. Things have been flowing around for like a week or so, suggesting that this is a new Tomb Raider, seemingly after the trilogy, where it's a different Lara. It's a newer, older, more experienced Lara. Basically the one that people were hoping the previous 3 games would kind of build to. It's still not totally clear on like how she is exactly, but these leaks suggest like tall, athletic, accomplished woman, seemingly now with like a team of inspired Tomb Raiders with her, possibly a romance subplot and some fantastical elements, which that's always good in Tomb Raider, but it depends on like how it is. Now, again, like take it with a grain of salt. It is leaks and rumors, but like that stuff floats around all the time. But when we get DMCA takedowns, or when the companies go after the people that leak this stuff, sometimes that means that there could be a glimmer of truth to this. So the Sacred Symbols podcast actually read part of the script on one of their Patreon exclusive podcasts, and they got a DMCA takedown notice, seemingly suggesting to a lot of people that, you know, this might be something that they're actually working on, Crystal Dynamics. Can't really go too deep into it, don't want to get taken down ourselves, but I will link to news stories that describe it a little bit more in depth in the comments. Of course, it's an interesting thing because at this point, I want a hard reboot of Tomb Raider, straight up. I actually like the trilogy, even the third one. I know, crazy, but like at this point, I think that whole thing has ran its course, and I want to see a complete fresh redo of Lara. I also just want to return to classic style Lara. I know there's a big section of the Tomb Raider community that wants to see something like that, because at this point, that would actually be kind of fresh. So if they can do a new spin on that classic thing, I'd love to see that. And with the fantastical elements and stuff, like, it's cool that the newer games incorporated some stuff, but like, I want to see her going back to like fighting mummies and dinosaurs and weird shit, you know? Let's get some ghouls and goblins in here. I don't know why I said ghouls and goblins like Christopher Walken. Ghouls and goblins. But just a TLDR, as of right now, it's codenamed Project Jawbreaker. It's going to have realistic elements and fantastical elements with a fresh new Lara. And the romance plot is interesting because I just picture Lara as like the loner. She don't need anybody. Just adventure and treasure and cool shit. But maybe the story will be worthwhile. Maybe this isn't even true. Who knows? But a very interesting story. It took the internet by storm, certainly. And I always just think Tomb Raider is worth talking about because it's a classic game that I grew up playing. Hey, next up, big thanks to Omaze for sponsoring this video. Enter for a chance to win an unplugged Tesla S Apex Plaid and support a great cause, the Juju Foundation. And this Tesla is absolutely wild. Over 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. Tons of special limited features and just a beautiful interior. This thing is so nice, it's scary. And like I said, with entering for the chance to win, donations support the Juju Foundation, dedicated to the support of youth initiatives and lifting the spirits of those in need. Cool initiatives like a bike giveaway, providing bikes and bike locks to underserved youth, to providing funds for instruments and music education, to a scholarship program. program. These are undeniably good things, they're doing great work, and the prize is really cool, so it's a win-win. So to potentially win an absolutely sweet, unplugged Tesla S Apex Plaid and support the Juju Foundation, just head to omaze.com/gameranx. Once again, that's omaze.com/gameranx, and thanks to Omaze for sponsoring our video. And in other news, it seems like EA is warming up to single-player games again. As you guys probably remember, for a while, it seemed like EA was the harbinger of, like, single-player games dying off. Just straightforward, regular old single-player games as they started to really embrace just multiplayer and games-as-a-service stuff. Now, they're changing their tune a little bit, thanks to some statements made by CEO Andrew Wilson, the American Psycho-looking dude himself. That's mean. I shouldn't say that. Maybe he's nice. But the quote is that single-player games are a really, really important part of their portfolio or their mix of products. However, it is also worth noting that, like, one of their CFOs was also there saying that it still makes up a very small percentage of their profits. Like something like 3/4 of their business is all multiplayer and live service stuff. I mean, think about it. They have FIFA and FIFA Ultimate Team, which brings in $1 bajillion million. But they've said specifically that they are working on ways of doing focused, good single-player games that'll, bring them some money. And obviously a lot of this is connected to them seemingly learning something from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was a very traditional-ass video game that was pretty straightforward, single-player, narrative adventure, and it did well. People really liked it. So now that they got a whiff of that, they're back on their old shit. I mean, like the fact that we also have a Dead Space remake dropping soon, like I'm happy to see them at least trying this stuff. Even if it doesn't generate all their money, the fact that they are maybe seemingly starting to respect the medium a little bit again, I'll take it. Next up, in news I did not see coming for a million years, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is back in the news and is seemingly alive. So they've just gotten a new lead writer. Shout out to Sarah Ariano for getting this gig. That's a pretty sick gig. And I mean, this thing has been in the works on and off for like 15 years, which sounds insane. 15 years, I was like a child 15 years ago. The ups and downs with this game, the everything about it, like the Wikipedia page for this game is like an epic novel of so many things going on. So I don't know what to think about this, but just to see it resurface and to see someone get a paid gig out of the job, cool. So I want to know what the deal is. What do you guys think? Do you think we're actually going to see this game ever? What are your hopes and dreams for it at this point? Let me know. Also, some things I wanted to link in the description down below, just some trailers and little videos that dropped this week. The first is a trailer for Dead by Daylight Resident Evil stuff, once again, this time highlighting Wesker. And this is a badass reveal for Wesker. I am just a Wesker fanboy. He's so cool. I want him to be my mean dad. I don't play Dead by Daylight, so that's all I have to say about that. But also, I'm linking a trailer for a new narrative-driven game that quietly launched this week. This is called South of the Circle. It's got a pretty cool, pretty abstract art style that I'm really into. Again, don't know too much about it yet. Haven't gotten our hands on it, but if you have, love to hear from you, especially if you like those types of narrative, story-based games. I just finished As Dusk Falls. I thought that was pretty cool, if you saw my video on my channel. So yeah, more of this stuff is always cool. Along with that, Insomniac confirmed on social media that the PC version of Spider-Man, which is launching, I think, in like about a week or so, is going to be playable on Steam Deck, which makes me so happy. I'm a Steam Deck fanboy, and if I could play Spider-Man on the go, like straight up, whew, I'm done. Bye. See you never. Goodbye, world. Also linked this week, IGN had an exclusive to reveal like all the skins for Gotham Knights, and they're actually pretty cool looking. The video is really long, and it's more about the concept art and stuff, so I did link a video from Legacy Gaming. It's only like 6 minutes long, where they just kind of break it down nice and concise if you want to get all you need to know. They're a really good channel for info. Just wanted to give them a shout. I've been watching them for a while, so yeah. Now in other news, a bit of an interesting story that I think is interesting for different reasons is Sony talking to the Brazilian government courts specifically about regulation and the game industry, and all the fact that every company is buying up everything all at once. So this is pretty interesting because it's Sony and some other tech companies specifically speaking to Brazilian regulators and really explaining how things work. And the biggest thing that really got pulled is the fact that Sony basically went to Brazil and they were like, you guys don't understand. Call of Duty is a really big deal. They went as far as to just kind of explain how big of a deal Call of Duty is. That it drives console purchase decisions, and it is a behemoth to the point where it's employing more developers and more studios than anything in terms of a lot of publishers combined. And the fact that even with all of their resources, if they put everything together and tried to make a competitor to Call of Duty, they couldn't, just because it's that big of a beast. I will link the reading down in the description because it is pretty cool inside baseball business stuff. A lot of people are using this to fuel like console war acquisition conversations. Like, I'm not interested. The console war shit bores me, but it's pretty interesting from them just being candid, speaking very candidly about the state of the games industry. They are basically describing the fact that Call of Duty itself, that machine, that well-oiled machine that churns out a massive, huge game every year, is like a sub-industry, an industry in and of itself. And they're almost like, you know, how the American car manufacturers were, where you can't just make a car company and just compete with them easily. Granted, things change, but still. What I like about this essentially is that, like, you know, when you see corporations do stuff and it just seems so tone deaf and you're like, they're not listening, they don't understand. The way Sony's lawyers are specifically describing the game industry shows that they are acutely aware of everything going on. It's really just a matter of like when they decide to act. Does that make sense? I don't know. Like I said, this is pretty interesting reading, so it's all going to be linked down in the description. That's just my take. I want to hear yours. The other story worth pointing out is that it seems like Square Enix is interested in selling off more. As you probably know, they sold a lot a couple of weeks back to Embracer Group, including you know the rights to like Tomb Raider and a couple other more like Western style studios. So now they're wondering like what's going on with the rest of it, and it seems like they are poised to sell off more. According to this report, them selling off Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics, all that was phase one of them consolidating and doing a lot of that. So you could expect to hear more. A really good analyst does a really great breakdown. He's smart. I'm not. So I will link that. There's some good insight there, specifically around the companies that are likely to gobble up these properties once they put them out on the market. Basically, Square Enix is smelling the money on the table, knowing that Sony and Tencent and Nexon, like all these companies are out there buying stuff. So they're going to probably take advantage of that. What they're going to sell off and then what they're going to focus on internally, I assume just a shit ton of Final Fantasy, but you know, that all still remains to be seen. Still pretty cool, interesting stuff. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments what you think about all this stuff. That's the news that we got for you this week. Got to get back to playing some cool games for Before You Buy videos next week and the week after. Got some good stuff. So let me know what you're thinking about all these stories with Sony talking about Call of Duty, with Beyond Good and Evil ever returning, the fact that that Halo 2 challenge was beat. Did you watch that live stream? Have you been rooting for this thing to be beaten? Did you give it a shot yourself? And also, like, what do you think about EA talking about single player games? I very much believe that, like, you know, talk is one thing, but action is the other thing. So let's see where it goes. But let's talk about all this gaming news stuff down in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. We'll be down there as much as possible, of course, like I always say. But if you want to yell at me directly, because things get a little hectic down there, just find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino, or my other channel, Jake Baldino, you know. But that's it. So I hope you guys have a very nice weekend. Thank you for coming around and watching. Be well, be safe. Click the like button for us. Thank you. But that's it. Pizza's on me. What was that long pause? I was very like, what? I'm shot.